Syracuse Football released its depth chart. Here are some takeaways.
You are Locked On Syracuse, your daily podcast on the Syracuse Orange. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone, and welcome into Locked On Syracuse. I'm Jackson Holzer, and thank you for making us your first listen of every single day here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day, and we're free and available wherever you get your podcasts. And on today's mini podcast, I'm going to go over 3 takeaways that I had from Syracuse's depth chart for 2024. All right, and I have 3 of them. It wasn't really all that surprising. I will get to the one notable omission soon, but I wanted to start off by talking about the backup quarterback battle. And I don't know if we really got an answer to the question of who is the backup quarterback for this team. Now, if you recall, it was a 2-horse race, essentially. I mean, Jakari Williams, the true freshman, was kind of in it, but then he sort of started to drop out towards the end of training camp. So it was between transfer Michael Johnson Jr., who was listed as a weapon when he transferred over to Syracuse, and incumbent backup Carlos Del Rio-Wilson. Now, when the depth chart came out, I was very curious to see who won the job, and it kind of appears like Michael Johnson Jr. won it, but at the same time, it says Michael Johnson Jr. or Carlos Del Rio-Wilson. So we didn't really get a full answer as to who actually won it. Does it mean anything that Michael Johnson was listed ahead of Carlos Del Rio-Wilson? I'm not entirely sure. So we didn't really get too much clarity regarding who is the backup quarterback for this team. Now, there are 3 possible reasons we would see a backup, right? Number 1 is Kyle McCord's not playing well. Hopefully that doesn't happen. Number 2 is much worse, which is Kyle McCord gets hurt. We obviously don't want him to get hurt. And number 3 is if Syracuse is blowing a team out or vice versa, they're getting blown out, the backup quarterback can come in. Now, if we're talking about this Saturday against Ohio, I don't want to say right now that Syracuse is going to blow them out, but given that they are 17.5-point favorites, if they are in a situation in the fourth quarter where they're up by 4 scores, maybe we'll see the backup quarterback in, and then we'll get our answer as to who truly is the backup quarterback. So that was my first takeaway from the depth chart releases, that we didn't really quite get an answer as to who the backup quarterback actually is. Second takeaway, and this was the glaring omission from the depth chart, and that is that Justus Ross-Simmons is not on it. Now, Justus Ross-Simmons is a Colorado State transfer. He was a pretty good player. He was recruited by a lot of schools in the portal. Syracuse was lucky enough to get him. Now, apparently, this is according to Coach Fran Brown, he's dealing with a hamstring injury. Now, I can speak from experience on a hamstring injury. I played hockey growing up, and I once pulled my hamstring in high school. And I can tell you that that injury does, in fact, suck. It's not that it is extremely painful. I mean, I don't know the inner workings of Justus Ross-Simmons' hamstring injury. I'm speaking of my own experience here. It's a sucky injury because it's not one that actually is really that painful. It's more like it's always tight. The muscle is just always tight. There's like nothing you can really do except rest and stretching. Lots of stretching. That's what I had to do. It took about a month to recover, and every time I thought that I was close to being ready, it would tighten up again. So it's not an easy injury to deal with. So Justus Ross-Simmons is dealing with it. It sucks. As far as who's taking his place, or is he even taking his place, Umari Hatcher is listed as one of the top 2 wide receivers on the team alongside Zeed Haynes. That's not actually a surprise with Zeed Haynes being the wide receiver 1, but Umari Hatcher has had a strong fall camp for this team. He did everything that Coach Brown said he needed to do in order to be a starter. So at least for now, he is the wide receiver 2 for this team. I am curious as to what will happen when Justus Ross-Simmons is ready to play. He could be ready to play on Saturday, according to Coach Fran Brown, but it's not a guarantee. So that's a question I think, or it has a loose end to it. Who really is the wide receiver 2? Is it Justus Ross-Simmons when he's healthy, or is it Umari Hatcher no matter what? And if Justus Ross-Simmons can't go on Saturday, well, Hatcher has a chance to have a big performance and solidify himself as the wide receiver 2 for this team. Now, coming up, we're going to talk a little bit about the cornerback situation. Tired after lunch? You're not alone. In fact, research shows that more than 70% of us hit the wall after lunch. Let a 5-hour energy shot help you leap over that wall instead of crashing into it. With zero sugar and a convenient portable size, it's the perfect pick-me-up for getting stuff done. The 5-Hour Energy website has flavors galore, like watermelon, tropical burst, grape berry, and more. There is a flavor for everyone. Try them all. On the site, you even have the option to build your own 12-pack or 24-pack. You choose the flavors, and it is delivered right to your door. If you go to the 5hourenergy.com, that is the number 5hourenergy.com, and get some 5-Hour Energy product today. You can use my promo code LOCKEDONCFB to receive 20% off your order. This offer is only valid until September 30th on one order and cannot be used with other promotions. The code is not good on subscription orders. Go to 5hourenergy.com today. Hey, Locked On Syracuse fans. I want to take a moment to give you a heads up on a brand new mobile game that I think you're going to love as much as I do, Ultimate College Football HC. In this amazing game and simulation, you get to step into the shoes of a head coach and lead your college football program to glory. Can you imagine actually being the head coach of Syracuse, from recruiting players and hiring coaching staff to overseeing training camps and handling school scholarships? You control every crucial detail of your program. It's all in your hands. Will you be able to handle the pressure? And here's what I really love about the game. You are responsible for calling offensive plays during the games. Your strategy will not only determine the success of your football season, but will shape the future and legacy of your program. Ultimate College Football HC is completely free, has no ads, and is 100% playable offline. You can play on the go as you want and when you want to. And of course, we have a special offer for Locked On Syracuse fans. Use the promo code LOCKEDONCFB in all caps inside the game store to receive a free boost to your program. Make sure to take advantage of this perk, as it will get your team off to a strong start. To download the game, just visit ultimate-cfb.com or look it up on the app stores. Ultimate College Football HC. Begin your coaching legacy today. All right, so let's talk about the cornerback room now. And first and foremost, we got some clarity as to at least one of the starting cornerbacks, and that is the fact that Clarence Lewis, the Notre Dame transfer who played 50 games for the Fighting Irish over the course of 4 seasons, beat out Jaden Bellamy for one of the starting cornerback spots. So we know that Clarence Lewis is a starter, but we still don't know who the other starting corner is. Now, it's between two players. It is true freshman Marcellus Barnes, who is a 4-star recruit, top 30 corner in the country, or Buffalo transfer All-MAC player Devin Grant. Now, it is similar to the quarterback situation where it was Michael Johnson listed above Carlos Del Rio-Wilson, but it was Michael Johnson or Carlos Del Rio-Wilson. In this case, it is Marcellus Barnes or Devin Grant. Barnes is listed above Grant, though, so I don't really know exactly who is the second corner of this team, so that's something to certainly keep an eye on for Saturday. Now, having said that, I am making a pretty bold take about Marcellus Barnes in the coming podcast in just a few hours, so make sure to tune into that. We are going over the best new Syracuse football players on this team. There are 45 of them, and I trimmed it down to 5. So that is it for this mini podcast. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. If you like this video, click that like button. And if you really liked it, subscribe to the channel, turn on those notifications so you know right away when I'm dropping the next podcast. 6 p.m. is actually the next one, going over the best new players on Syracuse's roster this season, which is only 4 days away. Take care, everyone.